These new ORK detachments sound pretty awesome. Yep. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. As always, my name is Jay, and in this video I want to talk about two of the sets of rules that were released yesterday for the new ORK Codex coming out for pre-order on Saturday. As you guys know, usually a Codex goes up for like announcing pre-order, and then they announce all the rules, and then it goes up for pre-order, and life's good. And that's what's happening right now. So GW has released two of the detachments for the new ORK Codex, as well as the fact that the it looks like the old detachment is just going to get renamed for this one, but that's okay. So I was wrong. I figured they were going to go in consistent patterns with the previous, like Space Marines, where there was like a White Scars themed, and there was a, there was a theme for each one, right? Like there was a White Scars themed army, and then there was a Imperial Fists themed detachment, right? Kind of each one made sense in context. Like if there was an Ultramarines one, made sense. And I figured they were going to do the same with Orcs. There was going to be consistently like the ones they did in yesteryears in the codices, whether it is a Bad Moons one where you like reroll ones, or a Death, my favorite army of course is the Death Skulls, where it's like reroll one dice, right? Or reroll ones to hit for the Bad Moons, or reroll charge distances for Goths kind of situation, or you're faster, you're Evil Sons. And it turns out I'm wrong. That's good. I'm happy to be wrong a lot. I'm wrong a lot. Yes. And they're more themed around army designs rather than factions. And obviously the factions would dictate what you want to bring, but it's like there's Green Tide, which is about bringing a green tide. Makes sense. This is consistent with previous way editions ago. And then there's the Dread Mob, which is all about bringing the walkers. I love that list. Anyone knows me knows I love my walkers, my Death Dreads, my Killicans, Morkanot. I'm happy. So they've already released the rules for the Green Tide and the Death Dread detachments. And so I'll talk about those today. Let's get started with the Green Tide, which makes sense. Once again, Green Tide, it's meant to bring a lot of boys. You want to bring tons of boys. I have 150 boys. I'll be bringing them and having a good time, for sure. They're battle line, so I can do whatever I want. I can bring as many as I want, right? Cool. So their detachment rule is called Mob Mentality, and it reads, each time an attack targets a boys unit from your army, models in that unit have a 5+ invulnerable save against that attack. In addition, each time an attack targets an orc unit from your army, if it contains 10 or more models, re-roll a saving throw of 1 made against that attack. That is amazing. That is a very strong detachment rule. I love it, right? So orc boys being shot have a 5+ invulnerable save. Reroll 1s if you have a squad size of 10 or more. Wow, right? This is going to keep your boys alive. Your opponent is going to really think, because it's an invulnerable save, right? It can't be just ignored by ignores cover or high AP. The amount of firepower now it's going to take to kill a single orc boy has gone up, right? Their toughness 5. It's crazy. So that's amazing. I am super excited for that rule. And it's going to be fun to bring just a giant blob of 150 boys, and your opponent has to deal with it, right? Their battle line, they're going to score objectives. Awesome stuff. Yes, I love it. They also have an enhancement called Ferocious Show Off. And it reads, Orc Infantry model only. Each time the bearer fights, while resolving those attacks, add 1 to the strength characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons. If the bearer's unit contains 10 or more models, while resolving those attacks, add 3 to the strength characteristic instead. Cool. That's cool. Helps them. Increased strength means more chances of wounding, right? Better dice to wound. And so you put that on a war boss or someone leading a squad of boys. Life's good. Life's good, right? 10 models or more. Pretty easy to do. I like that enhancement. Yes. And they also showed a stratagem. It's 1 command point, and it's called Bulldozer Brutality. When fight phase, target 1 boys unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase and is within engagement range, or 1 or more enemy units. Effect: until the end of the phase, each time your unit is selected to fight, when determining which models in your unit are eligible to fight, any models in your unit that are within 3 inches, as opposed to 1 inch, right? Makes a huge difference, of 1 or more enemy models are eligible to fight. When resolving those attacks, such models can target one of those enemy units that is within 3 inches of them and within engagement range of their unit. That's awesome. So what it does do is it helps for one command point. It greatly increases the number of boys that can get their attacks in, helping to punch your opponent into the ground. So already we've seen that this stratagem is going to help, this detachment is going to help keep your boys alive, right? 5 up invulnerable save, reroll 1s potentially, amazing. And the stratagem and enhancement allow them to hit harder. So they're improving their defense and offense. That's a win. I'm excited to bring 150 boys in a game and just have some fun. And I don't care if I'm shoveling them off the table, they're going to survive. And they're going to have fun. And that's the Orky way, right? We're there to have fun, but most importantly, to break stuff. Furthermore, there's another stratagem called Come On Lads, where when your command phase, target 1 boys unit in your army, return D3 plus 2 models destroyed from that unit, excluding character models. That's amazing. So once again, you can bring back more boys to help get your guys just stronger, get them in close combat. Awesome. That is just awesome. Regenerate the boys for the endless swarm. Already, I am super excited for this new codex, and that's just one detachment. One detachment. Awesome. Also, there is the Dread Mob detachment, which is all about the walkers, right? Morkanot and Gorkanot, your Killicans and Death Dreads, your walkers, right? It's so much fun. Anybody who's seen my battle reports from years, I've been playing this army for 6 editions now, and my favorite is the walker list. It's always been my favorite. I love a giant amount of walkers and Killicans and Death Dreads and my Morkanot, just having a great time running around the battlefield, killing everything, and just being hilarious. And this is all about that. Now, this particular detachment is interesting to me. I'm going to play it regardless. That being said, I'm playing it regardless. I don't think it's the strongest because it relies a lot on randomness, and we're going to go about that in a moment. But when you rely on randomness, your army tends to get weaker because most other GW has been streamlining the game to remove randomness. There's no more scatter dies, there's no more pie plates, there's no more a lot of random effects. So having a random effect to be your main detachment rule is interesting, but it's also time consuming, and you're going to have to remember all the benefits. And it's going to be random. You can make it not random, but that puts you at grave danger, and we'll talk about that. So the detachment rule is called Try Dat Button. You can't get any more orky than this. And once again, I'm going to have fun playing this one. This is going to be an annoying one for tournaments, I'm thinking, but I'm still going to try it and see how I can just annoy my opponent. Let's do it. So, of course, each time a mech, Orcs, Walker, or Grot's vehicle, which will probably be the Killicans or my Grot tanks, yay! Unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight, roll 1d6. Each time. So I think you have to do it a separate roll for every one. Until the end of the phase, weapons equipped by models in that unit have the corresponding abilities shown in the table below. So once again, I'm just going to stop here for a second. So you'll imagine having an army of walkers, and you have to roll a dice and remember the effect for each one. But each time its unit is selected to shoot or fight. So I guess you just do it at that moment, whatever. So you roll d6, and you get a certain effect. Number 1, if you roll 1 or 2, you get Sustained Hits 1 ability. I really like that, because Sustained Hits 1 ability is fantastic, especially when your guys are hitting on 5s, and in some cases 6s, right? So hitting with a 6, let's say it's an orc vehicle, right? An orky walker. Half their hits then are going to generate more hits. Half, right? Because half the hits are going to be 5s, half the hits are going to be in 6s on average. 6s generate more hits. So that increases your amount of hits by 50%. I think the math is correct. Yeah, 50%. So if I shot with 6 shots, on average, I would normally hit with 2 shots, 1, 5, 1, 6 on average. And then all of a sudden I would hit 3 hits because 50% increase, right? Because the sustained hits. That's huge. That's awesome. If you roll a 3 or 4, you get lethal hits. I love that, right? The biggest challenge in Warhammer 40k 10th edition is to wound. And even the heavy weapons that are on the Killicans and the Death Dreads and the Morkanot are strong enough to wound infantry, but they're not strong enough to consistently wound big vehicles, which has always been the challenge of everything in the game in this edition. So you're going to be wounding things most likely on 5s. Most of the big guns that orcs have will be wounding vehicles on 5s. Maybe some cases 4s, most likely 5s. So having the ability to have lethal hits is huge, because now once again on a 6, so half the hits will result in auto wounds, versus that same hit in the past would only result in 1/3 of a wound, right? 1 in 3 hits would wound. 1 in 3, so 1 in 3 shots would hit, 1 in 3 hits would wound. Now you have it so that, and on a 6, so half your hits would just auto wound. That's huge. That's huge, right? I love that. That is an amazing one. I think that's my favorite one of the 3, in fact. That's the 5 and 6 one I don't feel as good as the lethal hits, actually. So the 5 or 6, each time an attack is made with this weapon on a critical wound, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 2. Cool. I'm not the biggest fan of that particular one. I like the lethal hits the most, and my reasoning is the following. Anything dealing with an invulnerable save, you're not going to care, right? A lot of things that you really want to kill have invulnerable saves, and vulnerable saves will not be affected by this at all unless you get to the, like, you know what I mean? Most of the heavy hitting weapons that orcs have that are crazy heavy hitting, like custom mega blastas, already have good AP. So increasing it by 2 is cool. But once again, this is all icing on the cake, so it's better than nothing. So no matter what, you're getting something. But I prefer the lethal hits more than the 5 or 6, so I think it's kind of weird that the way they ordered it. But either way, as I said, it's a really cool stratagem and rule for the detachment. And regardless of which one you get, it will increase your chances of doing something, right? One increases your number of hits, one increases your number of wounds, one increases your odds of it going through the armor. Cool. However, you can select, instead of rolling a dice, you can actually select an exact one. You don't have to roll a d6, you can just choose to select it. However, it becomes hazardous. Yeah. So that hurts, right? Because then on a 1, depending on what weapon, I'd probably take that risk. I don't know. I think it'd be good. Depends on which model. I might just choose and then risk become hazardous. Now, and it also says if a model equipped by a model in your army already has the hazardous special rule. So if a weapon equipped by a model from your army, misspelling already in this, has the hazardous ability from multiple sources, each time you take a hazardous test, it is failed on a roll of 1 or 2. So custom mega cannons, custom mega blastas will be hazardous on a 1 or 2. That's really risky. To be honest, I wouldn't choose in that case, because there'd be an equal chance on a custom mega cannon hitting than a custom mega cannon being hazardous. I don't know what I feel about that one, as I said. So overall, it's an interesting army rule detachment. It makes all your shooting better in some way, shape, or form, but it has a risk factor, and it also has a random factor, and for that reason, I think it's weaker than just, the other detachments which have a guaranteed rule. But in the end, I'm super excited to bring some a detachment of walkers. It's going to be so much fun. And they've also released a stratagem for 1 command point. It is called Bigger Shells for Bigger Gits. And when your shooting phase, of course, target 1 mech, orc, walker, grot vehicle unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot. Effect, each time you use the stratagem, you can choose to push it. Okay, you can push it. I'm not going to make any salt and pepper references. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a monster or vehicle, add 1 to the wound roll. Fantastic. Helps you to wound vehicles. Once again, huge, right? If you choose to push it, add 1 to the damage characteristic of that attack, and until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have hazardous ability as well. And so you can stack this with your detachment rule, and then all of a sudden you get multiple sources and you're being hazardous on a 1 or 2. So up to you. Interesting risk. I like the D. Oh man, it's interesting, as I said. But I don't know. So the next couple the other detachments are going to be called the Cult of Speed, which is going to be the Evil Sons, like the bikes version. And there's also one called Bully Boys, I believe, and that sounds pretty cool too. So we'll see what the new rules are when they come out. But I'm excited. So just to summarize again, the Green Tide is going to be hilarious. You get to bring 150 boys and just have a great time. They're going to survive and just run around the table and cause mischief. The Orky way. I love it. And, of course, my favorite detachment in the game, I'm going to play it thoroughly, I don't care about the craziness, is the Dread Mob. Because I love my walkers, I love my Death Dreads, and I can't wait to try them out and have some fun, maybe cause some mischief. I'll try out the rules and see if I blow off my own heads repeatedly by getting like double hazardous rolls, you know, 1s and 2s would be pretty crazy. But it's going to be fun. Regardless of these, I'm loving the new rules. And just as I predicted, it's going to be ways to play this army more competitively and have a great time doing it and have more fun, right? Creative ways of playing the army. Love it. So stay tuned for more videos on the new ORK Codex and everything, reviews and painting tutorials and everything. Please like this video. Comment in the comment section down below what you think about these new rules. What's your favorite? Which is your new detachment? Do you love the orcs? Yes. Yeah. Which is your favorite army and why is it orcs? And please like the video and hit the bell so every time I make a new video you see it. Stay tuned for more videos. Until next time, this is Jason. Happy painting. Your Green Tide.